Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Jelly, and if you don't already know, I make YouTube videos for LastWar. Now, today's video is actually kind of a callback to one of the original videos that I ever did, and by one of the original, I mean my original video, which was a gear guide for LastWar. Now, to kind of talk about it, this gear guide that I'm going to be making today has a couple of improvements compared to my last one, such as obviously a more in-depth analysis, and I will be able to show you guys exactly what I'm doing step by step from very start to very end. Now, there's going to be a lot of segments in this video, but to kind of break it down as easily as I can, there's going to be the core gear stuff, the basic gear. There's going to be leveling gear, which gear is the best, what you should use your mythic prints on, all of that. It's going to be covered in today's video. So it's going to be one ultra, like huge mega guide. My first ever gear video, I did do sort of a mega guide, but it wasn't really an in-depth, explanation. And I just said you should do this, and all of that. And I never really went into depth why or, how you should do it. So today is going to be really this entire huge thing packed into one. And I'm going to follow this video up by making a video based on how you can get gear blueprints, MR gear blueprints, and also how you can get upgrade ore really easily available. But that's going to follow this video. All right, let's go over the basic. What is gear? How does it work? What is it? So it's basically just add-ons that you can add to your heroes down here. As you can see, they have gear slots: gun, chip, armor, radar. The 4 core pieces of gear. That's literally what it is. It increases the base stats and also some hidden stats on your heroes that you may not have known about. At its premise, it's just a buff for your heroes. It's like once you get them fully kitted out, fully geared out, it's essentially like I would say a 25% increase to all of their base stats. It's obviously great, except for March size. March size doesn't count as a stat here with gear. Let's put that behind us now. As you level up gear, it gets better. As you get up at higher tier gear, it gets better. The highest tier is going to be what I have down here, this little red radar here, and that's called a mythic tier gear. So now you're asking, I know what it is now, kind of got the basic idea, but how do I go ahead and obtain gear? Well, there is so many ways. Obviously, the main one is going to be that you can craft gear once you get to the gear factory. I think it's like level 11 or level 12 for your HQ. You'll be able to upgrade or unlock gear. You'll be able to craft gear here using materials that you earn along the way. And then on top of that, there are so many other events that come along, especially early on. So like you're just starting, the rookie Apex Arena, I believe, gives you some gear. Unlocking around your base should give you some gear. There should be some radar tasks like Monica's challenge or something that gives you gear. There are so many ways to get gear. But those are just a couple really early on. The core ways are going to be through recruiting heroes down here. If you come over here, you'll notice that if I click on the probabilities here, you'll see, oh yeah, great, I get heroes and their shards, all of that, SSR. But then here in SSR, we get the SSR gear chest as a 1% probability, and we get the SR gear chest as an 8% probability. Through recruiting heroes, you're going to get gear, which is obviously, what we kind of want to do anyway. So as you do that, you'll just earn it, and I will show you a couple of chests that I have here. I already have some of these SR gear chests that I have from this previous week that I just haven't opened. And once you get these chests, you just go ahead and use it, and it's going to give you a random piece of gear. Other big ones are going to be trucks. Once you send out trucks or you plunder trucks, if they can potentially have the gear chest down here, as you can see on your screen. I just clicked on this orange truck. It has an SR. There is also going to be trucks with SSR gear chests. If you plunder those, you'll be able to get it. You can also send out your own trucks with those gear chests. And while there's not an inherent secret task that goes ahead and gives you any sort of gear box itself, you're going to receive these purple boxes from your gear, and at the bottom of these you're going to get gear material chests, which obviously in turn allows you to create gear. There's just so many ways that you can go ahead and get gear early on, or maybe not early on, but just in general. There's so many ways to do it. And now that we've kind of talked about how it works, and I showed you guys already the gear factory, that's exactly what our next topic is going to be. Going to be the gear factory, and basically I want to run over how the gear factory works. So as you go on and you get all these chests, you're going to get different levels of gear. You're going to get blue, green, purple, and orange gear. It's going to be literally in this range that you see on my screen. Green is the worst, blue is the second worst, purple's the second best, and then orange is the best. The red gear is something completely different, and that's only unlocked later on. And we'll go over what is so special about the red gear. Basically, what's going to happen is in your gear factory, you're going to be able to dismantle gear, and you're going to be able to create different stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. through playing the game this week, I earned a bunch of green gear. I don't ever need to use green gear, and to break it down for you guys simple, you should be breaking down everything except for orange gear. So as you can see, I'm going to go ahead and select everything here, and through breaking down my 5 pieces of blue, my 2 purples, and my 1 green, I'm going to get 40 iron, 200 alloy, and 300 synthetic resin. Just dismantle that, and boom, I just received all of that. And then I'm going to come over here after that. I'm going to click on merge. I'm going to merge the screws in, and then you're just going to continue to merge down the list. So I'm going to merge all of my refined iron modules into super alloy. Same thing, super alloy. I'm going to merge them all into synthetic resin. Synthetic resin, I'm going to merge all into dielectric ceramics. Now, there is this screen called disintegrate. You're not really ever going to use this. It's just kind of there as a, I mean, I guess it is a good thing to have in case you need it, but you should never, and I mean like never use this. 99.9999% of the player base will never use this disintegrate screen. And then once you have already dismantled and merged everything, and now you have a bunch of dielectric ceramics, you're going to be able to craft orange gear. As you can see, it costs about 500k to craft it, but it's also going to require 750 dielectric ceramics. And since you're going to want at least 20 pieces of gear, 4 pieces of gear for your 5 main heroes, you're going to want at least 15,000 dielectric ceramics. It's not necessarily easy to get your hands on that, and it does take a long time. So yeah, not easy, takes a long time, and it is definitely a grind, especially for my free-to-play players. It's just about what are you prioritizing. So you can prioritize gear really early on. That's something I do recommend for a lot of people. The faster you get your gear, you have a more inherent advantage over others. Yeah, here's another tidbit. The gear factory, once you get it up to level 20, do not level it beyond level 20. That's it. You need to get to level 20 so you can upgrade certain pieces of gear and so you can make certain pieces of gear. But once it's at level 20, never look back. Don't upgrade it, because by upgrading it, you're literally doing nothing but upgrading your base power, which I guess, sure, later on, maybe if you run out of things to upgrade, the gear factory is a good option, but it's not worth your time or resources. Okay, let's go over what gear should you be leveling up and what gear shouldn't you be leveling up. And as you can see here, I have absolutely nothing besides orange gear. And why is that? Because that means everything else is useless. Not useless, but none of it has even close to the same benefits as a piece of orange gear. 4 pieces of purple gear still do not equate to 1 piece of orange gear. I know that there's a lot of people that say early on you can keep your purple gear. I actually am kind of against that. I think keeping your purple gear inflates your power. Purple gear really does. I mean, sure, it does increase the base stats and it is nice, but the main thing is going to be increasing damage to monsters. So early on, I guess if you want to keep purple, that's fine. But as soon as you have enough of the synthetic resin to make 150 of the dielectric ceramics or 750 of the dielectric ceramics, that's what you're going to want to do. 1 piece of purple gear pretty much equates to roughly 37 of the dielectric ceramic, which means that you need almost 20 pieces of purple gear just to get 1 piece of orange. The math is obviously atrocious, and it sucks to have that high of a number. However, there are, it's worth it in my mind to go full on orange gear. And with that being said, I don't think you should be leveling any gear, because you're going to lose out on things like upgrade ore and gold and stuff like that. Don't do it. Well, I do think that they made a change recently where if you break a gun down or you break any piece of gear down, you don't lose your upgrade ore, but you still do lose the gold, which is obviously brutal. Piece of advice: go for nothing but orange gear and level nothing but orange gear. I'm sure that there's going to be people in the comments telling me why I'm wrong, why I'm, just not saying the right thing, but I would like to hear everybody's thoughts on that. The best actual piece of gear, just in general, I will talk about it, is going to be this radar down here. Radar is the best, like it is the pinnacle of all gear, mainly because in a game that's so attack heavy, this radar really just does a lot to pretty much just counteract everything damage related. I know a lot of people like guns, and I do too. I have 2 mythic guns. 2 of my 3 pieces of gear are mythic, and I will go over why I have that in just a little bit, but for now, let's just talk about that. The radar is the best piece of gear in general. I would focus on that. Let's talk about, once you get to UR gear, how does leveling work? Well, it kind of works the same way as leveling any other piece of gear. It's just as simple as you're going to need upgrade ore and you're going to need gold. So I'm going to do something today that is probably going to get a lot of cringes, but I'm going to actually go ahead and break down one of my mythic pieces of gear, because I do want to transfer it over to a radar. It's going to hurt to watch for some people because it's a lot of gold that I'm losing out on. As you can see, just by doing this, this is what I'm going to earn back. So from start to finish, a level 0 to level 40 mythic gun, these are going to be the materials that you need. You're going to need 10 MR, you're going to need 6.7 thousand dielectric ceramics, you're going to need 50 gear blueprints, and you're going to need 700,000 to upgrade ore. Yeah, as I said, this is definitely going to hurt my soul, but it's going to hurt somebody else's soul too watching this happen live. I'm gonna be losing out on hundreds of millions of gold, but I'm doing this again strictly for content purposes. So make sure that you're liking that video and subscribing because this is a long time worth of grinding out gold in goldies. All right, here we go. Dismantle. We're gonna do it. Confirm, and just like that, we dismantled that. And the reason I'm doing it is because I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like to pretty much do it from start to finish. I'm gonna go ahead and speed up this gun here just because I again kind of need to. Actually, I don't. I think I already have a gun waiting on standby. So let's go ahead and equip that gun right back to Morrison. Okay, so now that I've equipped this gun back to Morrison, I'm gonna just go ahead and show you guys pretty much how it works. I showed you guys all that you're gonna need. You're literally just gonna click this upgrade button, and it's gonna upgrade for you. It's literally does not get simpler than that. You just need to make sure that you have these resources here available for you, and then you're just going to click upgrade. And once you get up to level 40, though, you're going to move on to a different tier, and you're going to need gear blueprints, which you guys saw. I showed you both MR and the non-MR, and I showed you to get, there's 5 different tiers to actually leveling up your gear beyond level 40. So let's just, before we continue though, because I know that you guys kind of saw, and we already talked about a couple of things that you're going to need, which is going to be upgrade ore, gear blueprints, and all that. We're going to do kind of a basic small one run over. Firstly, the main way that you're going to get upgrade ore is going to be your smelters here in your base. It's going to be a huge way. Pretty much every event has some sort of gear or ore in it. So maybe this one doesn't, but I know most of them do. The Meteor event just sucks in general, so I wouldn't be shocked if this doesn't have it. But a lot of the Warzone duels offer or upgrade ore in their events. You can get upgrade ore from certain secret tasks. I don't know if they're actually, yeah. So right here, the rescue missing agent, you can get upgrade ore from here, and then you can also get upgrade ore from pretty much everything. So these chests, these little purple chests that you get here from the UR, you can get it out of. You can get it out of certain roles in the trucks. You can get it out of your hero recruits, as we already talked about. By the way, I did misspeak. I didn't mean truck. I meant train. You can get it out of your train. There's just a million and one ways to get it, but the problem is you're never going to have enough upgrade ore. It takes millions. I am sitting currently on, after breaking that down, 2.3 million upgrade ore. Obviously, it won't be like that once I upgrade that piece of gear again, but 2.3 million is a lot, and it's probably going to be more than what most people will see unless you're looking at a completely maxed whale account. I have just been saving it for a while because my hindrance hasn't been upgrade ore, it has been the blueprints, and that will kind of become a common thing for a lot of people here, but there is a lot of ways that you can earn upgrade ore. It's just about participating in your events, doing your secret tasks, helping other people doing their secret tasks, joining the train, and then again, I'm going to reiterate it, events. Just make sure you're doing your events. We'll have a really in-depth gear guide or ore guide along with the next things coming up, as I mentioned earlier on in the video. How to get gear blueprints. Now, really, there's not a lot of ways to do this. There are a couple of marquee events or shop of things that you can go ahead and do. So here in the shop deals, I currently have Bounty Hunter. There is not a way to get upgrade or gear blueprints here. However, there are some events that offer this. And if I even come over here to events and I look at this black market, you're going to notice that I also have a black market video on my channel. You should go watch that. Click on the information up here and you can see that there is a bunch of ways to get, well, not a bunch, but it is expensive, and you can get gear blueprints out of this one right here for $4,000. You can get 5 gear blueprints, and then I think there's also technically a discount one. Yeah, $600 for 1 gear blueprint. There is ways to obtain them, but your main one is going to be actually going through your honor store, and as you can see, I can only buy 24 more. I've already bought 26 for this month, and this refreshes once a month. You only get 50 per month, and you can also see the gear blueprint MR, but we'll go over that in just a second. The gear blueprint you're going to earn with honor, and the only way that you can get honors by participating in Desert Storm. There's going to be certain events such as Warzone Duel, or for even example here, the Meteor of Iron of War event gives me honor points as well just for participating and getting my chest down here. So depending on where your alliance ranks, you're going to earn even more honor points just in the mail after the event ends, and then same thing with your individual rewards, but you're not going to earn honor points for that. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways to earn honor. It's just about actually, again, participating. I haven't played Desert Storm in months, mainly because I had a lot going on in my life, and then I finally was able to sign up this week. So sorry, Cotton, if you're watching this. And then I missed it because it was my birthday, and I just didn't participate because things happen, and I was enjoying my day. Yeah, that's gonna be the main way to get gear blueprints. There's going to be a bunch of stores that come around. I think the glittering market offers it. I think that the mobilization may offer it. I can't quite remember. So yeah, I mean, it's obviously not easy to get your hands on it, but if you're going to be a spender, there's going to be a million and one ways to get it. If you're free to play, it's still relatively easy to obtain gear blueprints. It's just, again, participation. And then let's go over the last one, which is going to be the MR gear blueprints. Unlike the other one, this one is just this is anti-free to play for the most part. There are a couple of ways to obtain them. As I just showed you, after Season 2 ends, you're going to be able to go ahead and buy them 2 at a time per month out of the Honor Store, but it's going to be 60,000 honor for 2 of them. I mean, is it worth it? Yes, absolutely, because it's gear blueprint for MR, but it's going to take you at least 5 months of doing that just to get enough for 1 piece of gear, so it is a bit annoying. I wish that this would go up a little bit, but that's going to be one way that you can do it. The second way that you can do it is, again, through the glittering market. You can go ahead and buy. I wish I had the glittering market, but no, I have Bounty Hunter. Bounty Hunter is a great event, by the way, just not what I'm looking for at the moment. Yeah, as you can see here, the glittering market is in my calendar for up next week, and I can get both gear blueprints and the both versions of it. Obviously, if you're spending, you can also technically get those free to play because you can spend 500 diamonds, I think, to get 80 clearing coins. And if you save up over time, you'll be able to buy more of those. So once you kind of group everything together for free to play players, such as the glittering market, being able to get it, there's also going to be a, oh my goodness, is it the I can't remember the name of the event right now, and I'm not going to be able to remember it. But it's the ammo bonanza, I think it might be the ammo bonanza event. You can also get free gear blueprints, but since they nerfed it, that's kind of even fallen down. Your store, but the main one is actually going to be for the code boss. So there are like certain things that you can do, like the code boss here. I think this is the aircraft. Yeah. So as you can see here, I'm glad that this worked out as perfect as it can. Once you deal 2 billion and 3 billion damage, you're going to get 10 gear blueprint and MRs. This is the aircraft one. So obviously this is the easiest way for you to obtain 2 mythic weapons. I think this is a fantastic addition. For anybody that's able to do this amount of damage, this is going to be literally the easiest and simplest way for you to obtain it. It is unfortunately the only code boss that offers the gear blueprints. Yeah, there's that. And then unfortunately, other than that, it's going to be a lot of just heavy spenders that get gear blueprint MRs. There's not much you can do as a free to play player besides get what is offered to you, and it takes a while to even get to that point. That is the unfortunate part about it. I wish that there was a better way to really do it, but I'm going to do an in-depth analysis on all 3 of the things that I just talked about. I'm going to show you literally every last place that you can get it and tell you everything that you should expect with it. So now the next question is going to be, which gear should you focus on? Because you're probably asking that question. I know what the best piece of gear is, but in reality, what is the best thing for me to focus on, and what is my best course of action through this? Oh, let's talk about this right off the rip. You're just going to want to get your entire main squad fitted with gear. You're going to want to get each of your 5 main heroes with 4 pieces of gear. It's that simple. I don't care which order you do it in. I mean, I'm going to try to go over a little bit of what you should focus on. But yeah, you're just going to want to get your entire main squad with gear before you really focus on leveling anything beyond a certain reasonable, belief. So yeah, let's just go over it. You're going to have 2 defenders and 3 attackers, or 2 defenders, 2 attackers, 1 support. But let's just kind of look at this as if Marshall was an attacker, because then this wouldn't really even be a conversation. Let's just say your 2 defenders are going to be, the 2 people you have up front. In my case, it's Carly and Lucius. With it coming to Carly and Lucius, the first 2 things I'm going to want to focus on are going to be the radar for both of them, and then the gear for both of them, the armor for both of them. Then from there, I'll move on to my attackers. I'll get them their guns, and then I'll get them their chips. It doesn't matter in which order you do it in. Typically, your better defender, you'll want to give gear to first, and same thing with your better attacker. You want to get them to better gear first. In reality, it doesn't matter. You're going to want to get all 5 of your main heroes with all 4 pieces of gear, no matter what. And then this is, I'm going to kind of piggyback and say, the next thing that we're going to talk about is going to be which gear should you focus on upgrading. So we talked about which gear should you try to get, and that's just going to be making sure that your entire squad has gear. Focus on defenders getting defensive gear first, and focus on attackers getting attacking gear first. And the reason I said I would tell you guys why I had 2 mythic guns to begin with, and I already kind of touched on 2 different things, but not together, and that's going to be this code boss. So I actually made 2 mythic guns for this code boss, so I could go ahead, the first code boss that I did the 2 billion damage to, or whatever, yeah, the 2 billion damage, and I was like, well, I'm gonna try to get to that 3 billion damage pretty quickly. I want to make sure that I can get that second gear blueprint with, MRs and whatnot. So I made a mythic gun to help me get to that second one. And sometimes, depending on, how lucky you are, or, what falls into your lap, depending on when you're able to do this much damage, you might even be able to do your season store first, which is the best way to go ahead and get your gear blueprints. I completely blanked on that when I was talking over gear blueprints. Yeah, you're gonna MR gear blueprints are gonna be great out of the season store. You're gonna want to get those with your season merit medals after the season ends. Um, but again, I'm gonna have an in-depth video for that, so I don't feel as bad accidentally skipping it. Yeah, I went ahead and I upgraded my piece of gear, and basically, I wanted to get more gear and more gear blueprints, more MR, so I upgraded my guns, and that's as simple as that. And now I'm going to break them down. It is an unfortunate use of gold, but I'm going to break them down. I'm going to turn them into radars because that essentially just allowed me to get an extra piece of gear a lot quicker. If you're not impatient like I was, then it's completely fine. I would tell you to just do your radars first. I don't think that there's any competition here. I may have argued it a little bit differently in my first video, but as I've really looked into analytics and stuff, so let's actually get into leveling gear and what you should expect. So for the first one, first 10 levels, you should expect about 20,000 to upgrade, or roughly, and maybe 2.5 million gold in that range. So we're going to go ahead and get this up to level 10, and boom, just like that, you'll see that it add plus 250 hero attack. Obviously, this is great. The second level is going to be about 40k upgrade ore, and it's going to about double the gold. So where I said 2.5 million, you can expect about 5 million gold, maybe even a little bit more here. I would probably aim for 7 or 8 million gold. This third one here is going to be 60k upgrade ore. You should look for roughly, I say 20, 40, 60, 80. It's just a lot easier than remembering 14,312 or 17,814. It's just a lot easier to do this. To get it from level 10 to level 40, you're going to need a lot of gold. You can see I've already gone through almost 18 million just through the first 30 levels. And we're going to go ahead and do this last one, which is going to be 80 upgrade ore, 80,000 upgrade ore roughly, and it's going to require about 20,000 or 20 million gold. So now that it's level 40, as you guys got to see the upgrade ore breakdown, it's that simple. That's how it costs, how much it costs to upgrade each level. Let's go ahead and talk about which gear should you be prioritizing during upgrading. Like, what gear should you level up? Well, to kind of talk about it, as simple as what gear should you create, you're going to want to focus on your radars and your armor for your defenders first. You're going to want to level those up. And how I recommend is I recommend leveling up in levels of 10. The reason I say levels of 10 is because you do get that extra attribute for every level 10 that you do for your gun. So as we come down here, you'll see level 10, we get hero attack plus 250. I recommend that because once you get that 10, you can stop and you can go to somebody else, and it's going to give you that extra attributes at a time. Level in 10 in increments and focus on your defenders. So your 2 up front, you're going to want to do radar first, obviously, and then you're going to want to do armor for them. And then once you get both your radar and armor up in levels of 10, I recommend going through everything 10 at a time. I know that there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with me. Some people just want you to sprint to 40 with certain pieces of gear. I think that's a little bit of a waste of time, honestly, because by the time you get one thing to level 40, you could have probably gotten like 8 or 9 pieces of gear to level 10. I think it's just smarter to do all 20 pieces of gear to level 10, all 20 pieces of gear to level 20, all 20 pieces of gear to level 30, and then all 20 pieces of gear to level 40. Defenders, defensive, offenders, or offensive players, attackers, whatever you want to call them, you're going to want to give them the gun and the chip. That simple. Now, if you don't like the whole leveling it in just increments of 10, another recommendation I can go ahead and say to you is I would get, if you really are trying to focus on this and hyper focus on the best way to do it, I would focus on getting your defender's gear up to level 20, right? These 2 pieces of gear, and then your attacker's gear up to level 20 on this side. And then focus on getting both the defender's gear up to level 40 and then the attacker's gear up to level 40, and then worry about this side of the equation here, because your attackers don't really need this. Like, radar is obviously great, but if you're just trying to min-max your squad, getting your defenders defensive gear up to level 40 and your attackers attacking gear up to level 40 are going to be your priorities. And then you'll want to go ahead and obviously get your defenders gear on this left side, the chip and gun up to level 40, and then same thing vice versa over here. So we're going to talk about what really happens beyond level 40. And since I need to show you guys what happens beyond level 40, we're going to walk through it together. Once you get up to level 40, you're going to notice that there's going to be 5 tiers on this little, like, I don't even know, this little bar here. You're only going to see 4 when you actually try to upgrade your piece of gear, but there's going to be 5 in the image there. Now, whereas before it was just as simple as you need upgrade ore, you're going to now need upgrade ore. Well, you needed upgrade ore and gold. You're going to now need upgrade ore, gold. You're going to need dielectric ceramics, and you're going to need gear blueprints, both types, the normal and the MR. Now, luckily, you won't need the MR until the final, like, I don't even know what this is. The final tier is what I like to call them. I call them tiers. So you're going to need just the normal gear blueprints up until the final tier. And this is like, I would just say this, right? I'm looking down at what I wrote down to try to walk you guys through this as simple as this. What should you do once all of your gear is up to level 40? What should be your focus of gear? It's going to be radar for literally everybody. It's going to be radar. Focus on your 2 defenders radars and then your 3 attackers radars. And then from there, come over to your attackers, do their guns. And then you're going to want to go ahead and do your armor on your defenders. So you're going to do your armor on, let's say, Lucius and Carly if you're running an Aero squad. Then from there, you're going to want to actually go ahead and do your you're going to want to do your chips on your defenders. Some people like to do it on their attackers first, which is completely fine considering you only need that 1 peg there, that 1 tier. I think that's okay if you want to do your chip on your attackers first, but I would say a chip on your defenders and then chips on your attackers. And then from there, you'll do your armor on your attackers kind of as second to last. And then the last thing that you really need to worry about is getting your gun on your defenders because they're not really going to be doing enough damage to warrant that. But protecting your attackers with armor at least does something. So that's what I recommend. I am going to have it probably on screen somewhere, literally having the list of what I want you guys to do right off to the left side, so it's a lot easier for you guys to just read than hearing me mumble for 20 minutes. Now, I do need to say, because I keep I keep like double backing on myself, and I'm not trying to, but I don't think that you should hyper focus on one thing, but I also don't think that you should just be completely even across the board. I think that there is specific gear that you need to focus on, such as your radars for everybody. I think that you need to do your radars for everybody before you move on to the next piece of gear, such as like the fact that you don't really need to do your attackers or your guns for your defenders. Like that is not really a priority, and that should be your last thing. Just take what I have on screen, for example. Here, I'm going to go through my top 5 heroes. So Carly is going to be my defender, and you'll see the 2 pieces of gear I have leveled up for her. I haven't touched the other 2. I don't think that like these 2 matter nearly as much as these 2 for defenders, and same thing with attackers. I haven't touched my radars. Now that's kind of on me, and that's why I said I needed to redo it. But you'll see I focused on my gun for my attacker, and it should be radar and gun. I think those 2 are the most important for attacker. I did get my chip up on level 4, and then I just didn't touch anything beyond that. But then again, defenders, you can see here on screen the 2 things of gear that I focused on, and then attacker. I focused on that, and I will be focusing on radar next. And same thing here. Last attacker, it's going to be gun, and then radar. It's not going to make much of a difference because, you know, now that I have this gun up to level 40, and I don't really need to go much beyond that, I'm actually going to go ahead and turn my focus onto Morrison's radar, or I might actually do Schuler's radar, just because I do think that that's pretty important too. So yeah, I think that there are certain groups that you want to focus on, and you could literally just take a screenshot of what I am going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and upgrade this one time just so you guys have an image of what I would expect from you guys or what the best course of action is here. So let's go ahead and show you. Let's say defenders, you're going to want the right side done. The attackers, you're going to want the top left and the bottom right done. A defender, the right side, and then attacker, top left, bottom right. Attacker, top left, bottom right. That's simple. That's what you should be focusing on, hyper focusing on gear and what they are. It's not cheap. It's not going to be quick. I mean, I'm going into season 3 soon, and I only have 3 pieces of mythic gear, and I only have 1 other piece of gear at 2 other pieces of gear, sorry, at tier 4. It takes a long time, and I probably could have had a lot more done had I actually been participating in Desert Storm over the past few months. But that's part of having a baby. It takes a lot of your time up. It's not easy. I'm going to show you guys how much it costs. I kind of already blitz through the one. But let's just go ahead and say, I want to focus on Morrison's radar next. I'm going to go ahead and promote it. As you can see here, it is 25 million gold per like bar. So that means that it's going to be almost 500 million. It's going to be almost $1 billion gold just to upgrade one thing. And I broke down a piece of gear for this video. So I really, really want to do this. I need to upgrade some pieces of gear. I'm going to go ahead and come over here. I'm just going to we'll just unlock all this. It's not going to be nearly enough, but we'll use what we can before I have to dive into my gold chests. I don't really want to dive into them. So yeah, we're gonna come over here back to Morris and we're gonna upgrade it. So just one tier is gonna be 23.4 million gold. It's gonna be 12,500 upgrade ore, and it's gonna be 150 dielectric ceramics, and it's gonna be that for all four until you get to this final one here. And then you don't need gold, thank God, but you are gonna need the gear blueprints. It's kind of a trade-off. It's cheaper on your gold wallet because gold's not easy to get, and then it just gets more and more expensive as you go on further. So since I'm preaching to the choir about what I think you should be doing, I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'll show you guys exactly what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to go ahead and upgrade Schuler's, and then I'm going to come back over here to Morrison's because I want to focus on his radar as well, because I think that radar is such a good piece of gear. So now that I have both of the gears up to level, tier 2 for his radars, for both Schuler and Morrison, I want to make sure that I'm going to get DVAs up next, and that'll be my focus on this moving forward. Okay, so now that I have pretty much everybody's radars up to at least level 2, including my top defenders, I wanted to go over, because I'm going to be done leveling gear for now, I wanted to go over what tier 5 looks like. And you should be doing nothing with your radar, your mythics. I mean, if you have beyond 4, then that's something different, or beyond 5, then that's different. But I only have 3 mythic pieces of gear, or enough blueprints to make 3 mythic pieces of gear. So I'm going to focus on radar, radar, radar. I'm obviously going to give my 2 defenders their radar up to, tier 5, and then I'll focus on my best attacker getting a tier 5 radar as well. But we're going to go over why that is. So this one's at tier 4, and as you can see, it is a butt ton of gold. It's 250 million. Well, it's going to be 200 million just to get this one up. I'm really diving into my gold storage here for this. I do it for the content though. And then as you can see, it costs that much. There's a lot of upgrade ore, and then it costs 10 gear blueprints, MR gear blueprints, to get it up to tier 5. And then once it's up to tier 5, that's going to be it. Then you can't upgrade it beyond that. But to talk about why we want the radars up, and it's going to be reduced damage from critical hits. Whereas everything else, like even the gun, for example, I'll show you guys, it's damage boost when countering enemies. Now, that is obviously fantastic, and it's just going to make it that much easier to melt your, tank squads. But I don't really like that because it's not an overall buff. Whereas this radar is going to reduce the damage from critical hits by 30%. That is a huge, huge deal because 99% of the damage that's being done is going to be critical hits or skill hits. And with this being reducing, of that, it's just going to make a big difference. I think overall, I'm not the only person that believes that. I think that that is the best thing that the game has to offer. I don't think that there's a lot else that you can say about it. I think it's the best piece of gear. To go over what the rest of them have to offer, it's like, okay, so we'll talk about it a little bit. We'll say that the radar has 30% reduced damage from critical hits. The armor has 15% less likely to get crit hits, which is fine, but the 30% reduction damage is just better in my opinion. The gun is going to do 10% damage boost when countering enemies, as I already talked about, and I do have this wrote down because I don't have all of this unlocked. And the chip is going to be a 5% reduction damage taken on counters. It's cool. I don't think it's worth your mythic. I think that's honestly going to be the last one I'd say. But if you guys wanted a specific order, it's going to be radars on defense, radars on armor on defense. So I would say get your 2 right here, get your 2 defenders, their radars up to level 40, and then from there I would actually try to get your better defenders gear up to a tier 5 as well. Guns are great, but I don't think that they're worth more than the armor. True story. Third priority should be radars on attackers. Fourth priority should be chips on defense. Fifth priority should be your armor on offense. Sixth priority should be chips on offense. Seventh should be your chips on offense and guns on offense. And then eighth should be your guns on defense. I think guns are fantastic. I really do. And I think that they increase your base stats by so much. And they do help you do a lot of damage. But in a game where everybody's focused on damage, there's not a lot of people focused on defense. And when you build up a defensive squad, it's somebody that's able to pack a punch, and you still have your defenders in the back row, you're going to do a much better time winning that fight. You're going to have much better odds. You're going to have a much better chance of winning that fight. And then the reasoning behind that is, why I have the 40, the buffs in the order that they're in is specifically because of just how usable one thing is. I try to go based on how usable one buff is compared to another. And in this case, the 10% damage that you're going to get from a tier 5 gun, when countering enemies. Firstly, that only does really it only works against one squad. You know what I mean? Like it's not even usable in all facets of the game. That's why I think that is actually the worst thing that this has to offer. I think the chip actually kind of gives the gun for a run for its money with its 5% reduction damage taken on counters. But I do think that's slightly better just because I think that I guess actually, you know what? Now that I'm recording this, I would say that the chip is arguably worse than the gun. I would flip everything chips wise. I'd flip everything chips and guns. And then I do think that the armor is going to be the second best. I like the fact that it's 10% damage, 15% less likely to get crit hits. I love the fact that it's just an overall, and I like the fact that it actually matters against all squads, unlike the other two. And the radar is obviously just the best because that 30% reduced damage from critical hits is phenomenal. Now that I've been recording for almost 45 minutes, we're going to say, now that we've talked about it a little bit, let's say that gear is arguably the most pay to win thing that this game has to offer. And I don't say arguably, I said arguably, but I don't think I should. It is the most pay to win thing in this entire game. You're going to go against people that have all mythic gear. There's nothing that you can do about it. Unfortunately, that's just part of the game. Us low spenders, I may have gold bricks, I may be spending and all that, but I've been a low spender before. And I will say the low spenders unfortunately have a much harder time of obtaining your MR gear blueprints. Even if you're saving everything, every last dollar, you might be able to have a little bit more than I do at this point. You might be able to have like 5 pieces of gear, but where most whales are, like mid-season 1, they already have a decked out MR gear like kit. That's it. It's as simple as that. Unfortunately, it is part of what it is, and that's all I have to say on gear. I think that this is going to be a much better version of my first guide. I hope you guys did enjoy. Thank you all so much for watching, and that's going to be it from me. Jelly out. Peace.